Yeah. Hi and hello everyone. We are live here again today, and today we have a very important topic to talk on, and it is on bird flu. We all are aware that there is an outbreak of bird flu in various states of India, and there have been many cases here in Kashmir as well, where they have found dead birds, but we are still not sure what that is because of. So on so today we have Dr. Rani Maria Thomas speaking on bird flu, its consequences and spread. Hi, Rani. Um, and it's a pleasure to have you here, and we are really grateful to that you accepted our invitation to speak here. I understand that veterinarians are very busy people and they don't have much time, so it is our pleasure to have you here today. Dr. Rani is a veterinarian and she specializes in avian medicine. In 2019, she received Young Veterinarian Award for her work in the field of avian medicine. She has a very vast experience in infectious diseases in birds and has worked across India and internationally for the welfare of animals. Currently, she is a resident doctor at Dr. Rina Devs Bird and Animal Clinic at Mumbai, and they're working in collaboration with an organization called RAW. So, without further ado, I would hand over the floor to digital floor to you, Doctor. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, and good evening, all of you. And I'm extremely delighted to accept your, invitation for this presentation. And this is something that is happening currently, and it will be more interesting. I was also interested to read more about avian influenza. So when we learn about avian influenza in college, there are few things that we study just for the sake of passing the passing the exam. So that would be like, okay, avian influenza type A, B, C, D, and there'll be high pathogenic avian influenza and low pathogenic, and rest all will be our story that is written down. Anyways, let's see what I have learned more about avian influenza, because you invited me for this presentation. Let's see what we can discuss and learn from this. Okay, so I think I'll start sharing my presentation. And good evening to all of you. It's an odd time. We were discussing like it's an odd time, 4 o'clock. That is Sunday, but still, I hope few of you will be present for this seminar, and let's see how it goes. And today I'm going to talk about bird flu consequences and spread. And next to COVID, it is the most second most hot topic of the nation, because uh, wide varieties of birds have been dead, and different parts of the country has been affected with the bird flu or the avian influenza. So it's like the states like Himachal, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and my own state, Kerala, has been facing deaths of thousands of ducks, poultry, and migratory birds. So what happened over the past few weeks? We saw deaths of thousands of migratory birds. Not only migratory birds, the local birds like crows, our national bird, the peafowl. Hmm, ducks, poultry farms, they all saw death of hundreds to thousands of birds. So, okay, of course, winter season migratory birds, the suspect is avian influenza. Samples were collected, mainly the dead bird sample, trachea, spleen, oral cloacal swabs were collected, and it was sent to the National Institute of High Security Animal Disease in Bhopal. This is an institution which has biosecurity level 4, um, which is required for the identification and isolation of highly pathogenic viruses like avian influenza, and it was confirmed to be H5N8 strain. So, coming to avian influenza, it's also known as the bird flu. There are different strains of avian influenza like A, B, C, and D. And out of that, avian influenza A affects mostly birds, mostly the wild aquatic birds, from which it gets transmitted to the poultry, ducks, etc. Hmm. So usually when we say avian influenza, it is a strain H5N1. Uh, if we see the current epidemic of the bird flu, it was identified to be the H5N8 strain, whereas H is the you know hemagglutinin and N is the neuraminidase in the structure of the virus. Luckily, maybe because COVID is also there, they didn't want a competition. COVID and influenza didn't want a competition between each other. Luckily, H5N8 is of low risk to humans, but it is highly lethal to the birds. In Kerala, we could see the death of 69,000 birds. In Himachal Pradesh, in the Pangdam Wildlife Sanctuary, mostly the bar-headed geese, around 3,000 were dead. This all can be attributed to the migratory birds, which can carry the infection all around the world or all around the country. Looking back, in 2015, India declared itself as free from avian influenza. This was done by continuous disinfection protocols and post operation surveillance. This was done, but now again the country is facing H5N8. If you see H5N8, in 2010, it was detected in China, but it was not as lethal as this H5N8, which is detected now. That time, a large number of ducks were found dead in China. Again, the credit all goes to the migratory birds. That is what we try to attribute now. The migratory birds act as a source of infection to the local poultry or the ducks. And if you see the current scenario, as I told before, around 3,000 to 4,000 bar-headed geese were found dead in the Phongdak Dam of the Himachal Pradesh. And in Rajasthan, we could see the death of around 55 peafowls. In Kerala, 13,000 ducks were found dead. Around 500 crows were found dead in Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. So, initially, it started from Kerala, my own state, and my own district, Alappuzha and Kottayam. We were witnessing death of a large number of ducks, and when the samples were sent for testing, it was confirmed to be H5N8. Later on, we confirmed the presence of H5N8 avian influenza virus from the states of Himachal Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and Rajasthan. So you must be wondering, Himachal Pradesh and Kerala, how is that possible? Yes, as everyone says, it's a migratory bird. All throughout the country, they are the ones who are spreading the disease. So if you ask what are the symptoms that a bird with avian influenza show, of course, it's a flu. It will have the symptoms of flu like running nose, nasal discharge, conjunctivitis, discharge from the eyes. Along with that, there'll be swelling of the intraorbital sinuses, that is the sinus that is around the eyes, around the nostrils, and inflamed combs and wattles. And also, there'll be hemorrhages all around the body. You can see hemorrhagic lesions, that is red colored lesions around on the feet of the poultry. So that is what symptoms that we see. If we talk about the human infection, in 1997 the first case of avian influenza was reported in Hong Kong in a poultry workers. Basically, the people who work with poultry, who deals with live animals, are all susceptible to avian influenza. The disease as such is uh, it's problematic because of its high mortality rate. That is, around 60% of the population will show mortality rate once affected with avian influenza. As usual, people with low immunity, that is, people around the age of above the age of 65, pregnant women, and young children are vulnerable to be affected by avian influenza. So, what are the symptoms that we see when you're affected with the flu? Of course, there'll be running nose, sneezing, sore throat initially. Later on, as the disease progresses, there'll be dry cough and chills and severe headache. What precautions can be taken to avoid yourself, to prevent yourself from getting uh, not COVID, avian influenza. So first and foremost thing is avoid eating uncooked or partially cooked and eggs. There are practices where we eat uh, raw egg. People just gulp in raw eggs. No, avoid all that. Properly cook your egg. Properly cook your meat, because according to WHO, heat that is around 70 degrees Celsius can kill the presence of virus on the surface and inside of the meat. So properly, thoroughly cook your meat, and also avoid contact with infected poultry, infected any poultry droppings, any poultry secretions. Avoid contact with that. Avoid contact with surfaces which has been contaminated with poultry droppings and secretions. And also, after handling the infected poultry, avoid touching your eyes, nose and mouth, huh? This is all, you must all be thorough with this because of our COVID protocols. We are all spick and span with all these cleanliness and protocols. So it is nothing new to you now. So as usual, thanks to our COVID, because all of us are taking precautions regarding scaring or scared of COVID. So that helps us to some extent to not uh, getting infected by avian influenza. And also, compared to H5N1, the strain which is present right now, that is the H5N8, is found to be less lethal to humans. That is, it has less zoonotic importance compared to H5N1. So the next question is, whether should we stop eating chicken and eggs? The answer will be no. So what you have to do is, before cooking, thoroughly wash your hands 30 to 40 seconds before cooking, and after cooking, again wash your hands thoroughly 30 to 40 seconds. Wash the chicken or egg thoroughly and cook properly, because after cooking, they do not act as a carrier according to WHO. And stop eating runny eggs. Say bye bye to sunny side up. Make scrambled egg omelets, things like that. No sunny side up eggs. And always buy meat from trusted sellers. Organic meat, organic eggs can be preferred. If you follow all these precautions to a greater extent, you can prevent getting avian influenza at this time. And also, you don't have to be worried, because H5N8 is less zoonotic too, is not very zoonotic compared to other strains that have occurred before. So we said states like Himachal Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Kerala has all been affected with the avian flu H5N8. And let's see what action plan they adopted to get rid of the disease from their respective states. And in Himachal Pradesh, under the Disaster Management Act Section 34, they banned the purchase and export of all poultry, uh, then slaughtering of poultry and sale of poultry. And they banned locals and tourists visiting the affected area over a span of 1 kilometer. And disposal of the affected dead bird carcass was according to the bird flu protocol. That is, either they bury it. So the what they do is, for 10 kg of birds, they use 50 kg of wood, and then they bury it. They burn it. And also, wildlife officials and others personnel working with the birds or animals was recognized as in high alert zone. That was what was done in Himachal Pradesh. And if you see what was done in Rajasthan, again, they closed the poultry and egg shops, and a ban on travel in around 1 kilometer radius. That is zero mobility. They was recognized as zero mobility zone. Again, in Kerala, my own state, what they did was, that was a mass culling of bird. This action plan was came into action uh, based on the avian influenza action plan 2015, and birds were culled. Thousands of birds were culled by vets who took precautions, like for themselves. They took precautions like taking antiviral medications before they go into the action plan. They wear PP kits, and they go to the poultry farms and duck farms, and they decapitate the head of the birds, and then they either bury the birds, or, usually according to protocol, burn the birds. And again, all birds in Kerala, all birds over a radius of 1 kilometer, including the pet birds, poultry, ducks, everything was culled this time, even the last time. So, this is what is happening in avian influenza. If we are talking about the current scenario, we don't have to be, scared about this present situation, because it is not as zoonotic to the earlier situation. And yeah, if we can approach one health plan that is combining the human medicine and animal veterinarian part, we'll be able to tackle any problem easily, and it can be eradicated to a greater extent. you know so that is what I have to talk about avian influenza. It was a very small topic, nothing much had to be talked about. I didn't want to go a lot into the pathology, or um, the clinical science and things like that, or how the organism replicate, things like that. I just wanted to keep it simple and short. And yes, I think that is the end of my presentation. I think we will have more to discuss rather than talk in this odd. It will be more boring to talk, I think. I think, yes, with this, I would like to end my presentation. I think we will discuss more regarding this rather than talking more about it myself. And it's so boring to look on the screen, just me, like I'm practicing for something. And yeah, I think we'll talk more. Yeah. I can't hear you, Marin.
Yeah, sorry, it was on mute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea of keeping a presentation was to just, a way of uh, showing your ideas to the people, because
Yes.
it's like a classroom, and most of the times people don't understand. It's like a board for a teacher. So
Yeah.
while you were talking to us about the basics of it, we have a uh, question here. So Suraya is asking, does the current strain has the potential to spread from infected birds to humans, animals, or
No.
other birds? Yeah.
No, currently it has been found as a less lethal strain, and the chance of it spreading, it having a zoonotic potential is less. And to other humans also, other animals is also less. But yes, to other birds, yes, it can spread. To bird contact, it is there, but human and animal contact, it is not been recognized. The current H5N8.
Okay. So how different is the current strain from the previous strains that we have had here in India?
Sorry.
So how different is this strain in terms of you know uh, the
The
disease?
only thing is, yeah, the only thing is, this H5N8 is highly lethal to birds. But the good thing is, it is not lethal to humans. Earlier, we had strains of H5N1, which was highly lethal to humans as well. So, if you are seeing it that way, yes, it is a good strain for humans. Again, with the COVID, if this is also one affecting the humans, we won't be able to take it. This is, I would say, if we are considering the birds as such, it is really bad. But if you are taking the humans and the bird, it is good for it's okay for the humans. So far, no reports of human beings affected which H5N8 has been reported so far. So yeah, it's a good thing. They're saying there is less zoonotic potential for this strain, which is good.
Okay, so some relief after COVID, I would say.
Sorry, I can't hear
That,
you. What?
that is some relief after COVID, I would say.
Yes, 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 yes. And also, see, even if I think because of the COVID thing, one good thing that COVID has done, we all of us are following, that protocols like wearing the mask, sanitizing our hands, sanitizing. See, even if there was no even influenza, whatever things or eggs that we buy in our home, we used to clean it properly. We used to, wash it thoroughly and then use. So the chance of spreading is also less. You know,
Mm,
yeah, that's it.
mm. So we have another question by Pranav Menon. He's
Hmm.
asking, what are the preventive measurements taken in aviaries and zoos, etc., and what
Hmm.
should be the preventive measures?
So in aviaries, what you can do if it's a private aviary, what you can do is, um, avoid people coming. So now, though we don't allow anyone to enter. So what I do in my aviary, I would say, we avoid. So one thing is proper disposal of waste. So people don't dispose the waste properly, so that there will be a lot of crows, pigeon and all coming to eat the waste. They can also act as a source of infection. So first thing is proper disposal of waste system, so that birds from outside doesn't enter your aviaries. You can thoroughly clean your aviaries with disinfections like sodium hypochlorite. You can use disinfectant known as Virkon S, which has high virucidal action. Then avoid. So that is it basically. Stop your bird from interacting birds from outside. So in the zoo also we should have a check and monitor on. We of course have a lot of wild birds in the zoo, so we should always check them for the symptoms. If you feel any birds are showing any symptoms, get them tested. So it's gonna be difficult in zoo, but yeah, that has to be done. Stop the entry of people and things like that has to be done. And if as a pet parent, if you ask me, if a person who is, we get hundreds of calls asking, will my pet bird be affected with avian influenza? The thing is, uh, so far if you can follow all these things, like don't allow the bird to interact with other bird who come near the window to eat the food of the bird, proper disposal of the waste, avoiding buying new birds, avoid import of new birds right now in the situation, all can help in preventing the disease. In US and all, what they do is, there thousands of birds come each year, because thousands of exotic birds have been imported. If there's something which we can control, but the entry of migratory birds we can't control. Exotic birds that come in, they test every bird for avian influenza, and once in a while, some Peking duck was positive for avian influenza. Apart from that, it's not very common compared to when it comes to pet birds, but more in these migratory birds.
So,
Yeah.
if you have a pet bird just flying happily in your place, what are the chances that it will be affected by this
Hmm.
flu?
See, there are no published reports of birds being, especially the parrots being affected with, especially the parrots staying indoors being affected with avian influenza. But in Madhya Pradesh, we got a report of a parrot which is positive for maybe the Indian ringneck or the Alexandrian, which is positive for avian influenza. So if your bird is inside, chances are less, very less. And also be cautious, as I said before, don't allow the bird to go and sit near the window, interact with other birds, say for crow and pigeon, because crows have been in crows it has been detected. And also, yeah, waste disposal is very important, so that it discourages the other bird to come near your place and things like that. And also, don't buy new birds for now, because we don't know if they have it or not. It's not been tested in that. They can get, but there are very less chances of they getting avian influenza.
Okay. So, we have another question here.
Sorry.
So, we
Mm.
have another question here. So, it's Suraya again. So, she's asking,
Mm.
once the bird is infected, how much time will it start showing symptoms?
In
Uh,
3 to 5 days, in a week's time.
in a week's time. So, what is the initial
Yeah,
symptom that would come?
that's a sneezing. It's a flu symptoms.
Oh, okay. Are these symptoms also seen in other kinds of diseases as well? Are there any overlap of these symptoms
Yeah,
or
of course, a lot. So that is the problem. See, especially in birds, the problem is any sick bird, they show a symptom known as classical sick bird. So that is like whether it's a tumor, whether it's a parasitic infection, whether it's a viral infection, bacterial infection, they all show the similar sign. Like they will have fluffed up feathers, they will not eat, they will not move around, they'll be sitting in one place. Any disease will show the same symptom. So that is the main problem. At this scenario, so it's similar to us. Imagine in this COVID situation, we have a small normal fever, we have a cough, we think, oh, I got COVID, like that. So even in birds, also the same thing. Even if a bird is acting sick, maybe it has a tumor in the stomach, people will think, yeah, this is positive for avian influenza. 101, so any disease in birds can show a classical sick bird look, especially if you're talking about respiratory signs like running nose, sneezing and all. Again, it can be because of disease like chlamydia, it can be disease like paramyxo, mycoplasma, it can be disease like any fungal infection. That can also be a reason, not necessarily it should be avian influenza. Yeah.
Okay, so since we are talking on this, what are the major sources of infection? Since you said that waste should be disposed of properly, if
Yeah. Major source of infection is secretions and excretions of the bird, infected bird. So yeah, that proper so now we are not, we are just doing a mass culling, not that we just kill all the bird, and then properly dispose the waste and secretions of the bird, and the area that the area has been disinfected and burned off thoroughly, things like that has been done, so that the major source itself is been culled out and done and dusted. Yeah.
so once you are sure and tested that the bird is infected, so is there a possibility of keeping the bird in isolation? So another comment is by Krishna Kale. It is, I think it's on the same discussion that we were having.
Yeah.
Is it the idea to quarantine the bird? And can we
once
quarantine the bird?
once a bird is tested positive,
Yes.
see, because it is gonna spread to a lot of other birds, uh, it is better to, it depends. Like if it's a valuable bird, see, basically we don't have vaccines or any treatment that is proven to be effective for the birds. So if it's a valuable bird, if it's a rare bird, then you can think of isolating the bird, trying to treat. Then again, things like zoonotic potential, spread of infection to other birds, everything should be considered, but I don't think keeping if the infected bird is there, keeping the bird in quarantine would be a good measure to do. Yes, it is basically what we have to do is the mass culling of the bird, because it is avian influenza and we don't have vaccines for that, and the strain keep mutating and we don't know how zoonotic it is. So yeah, I wouldn't suggest quarantining a bird which is affected with avian influenza. Yeah, because it's a threat to a thousand other birds.
Mhm. So he's also asking, are there any other problems for hand feeding? He's a trader
hand
himself, trader
yeah,
as well.
hand feeding what, and feeding the
Birds. I think hand feeding the infected birds.
Mm, see, it's all, so uh, if you are 100% sure and if you have a positive result for the bird, as it's avian influenza positive, I would say just cull off the bird, because if you have other birds in the aviary, it's definitely gonna affect the other birds. So, and see, if now at this situation, H5N8 is not zoonotic. It doesn't have much, it doesn't cause much deaths in humans, but it is affecting the birds. But imagine if it was H5N1 and if it is causing deaths in humans, we wouldn't recommend keeping such a bird. It would definitely be culling of the bird, and definitely hand feeding will be an issue if it would have been a zoonotic one. At this present situation, it is okay, but you should consider it as a, if I tell you, okay, avian influenza birds can be hand fed and quarantined, then it depends on the strain, which strain is affecting, so
Mm.
that has to be taken care of.
So I was also thinking about this, and there is a question on this
Hmm.
by Tahir Gazanfar. What is the susceptibility of domestic and wild birds, and which one is more vulnerable for
Hmm.
this?
Uh, See, the thing is, I would say the domestic birds, especially the one in the poultry setup, is more susceptible. Why? Because wild birds they carry the infection, but they fly over a period, over a vast area. They have a huge area to roam around. But in poultry setup or domestic bird, what happens? They are in their confined area, thousands and hundreds of birds in a small shed or a poultry industry. So in such situation they will be under a uh, lot of stress from everything, everything environmental. A lot of stress will be, they will be under a lot of stress, and such birds will be highly susceptible to the infection, I would say, because a large number of deaths will be happening in such birds. If you see, um, we don't know, if we see hundreds of wild birds dying, we'll see thousands of domestic birds dying of the infection if we let the infection to spread. So yes.
Yeah. So there is another comment. I'm just going through these comments. So previously you said that if you handle the poultry, meat, or eggs properly, you can consume it. I think
Hmm.
I understood it well.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So it's also the same. Is it 100% safe to consume poultry, meat, and eggs? Safe as
After
in
cooking.
after cooking. Yeah, exactly.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then there is another comment by Ritesh Deshmukh. How easy is it to kill the virus? Will cooking destroy it? So at what temperature
Yes.
we have been
70,
listening
yeah.
to? Yeah.
Yeah. Up to, according to WHO, 70 degrees Celsius is best to kill the virus, and on from the meat surface, and also from inside, and also from the eggs. So yes, cooking it thoroughly. Maybe you can fry the chicken, and as I said, scrambled egg rather than eating the whole egg and sunny side up. Yeah, you can thoroughly cook it and eat. Yes, and you
So
can. So
how?
yeah, tell me.
Now please go ahead.
No, I was just telling. So even if if you want to disinfect in the package that you have got, you can, as I said before, you can use sodium hypochlorite, and also we get products like Vircones, which is a combination of lot of chemicals. I can't remember the name, and I don't want to remember. It's very difficult. So yeah, you can use that, and sanitize and sterilize whatever is bought. That is a simple method. Yeah.
So yeah, how susceptible are the people who handle or kill the birds for you, as in who slaughter the birds for you? So they
Sorry, I
also
can't
have.
hear. Your
So
voice is breaking.
how susceptible are the people who are slaughtering the bird for our consumption?
Yeah, they are the highly susceptible ones. Huh? So, as I said before, what you have to understand is that in this present scenario of avian influenza, where the strain is H5N8, it is less lethal. So even if you are in the poultry industry, you will have to take the necessary precautions like wearing a PP suit, proper mask, gloves, protective wears, and then handle the birds. But again, if it was something which is very pathogenic to the human kind, then it would have been a different scenario. It would have been really, we should have banned all those poultry industry for at least some time. The slaughtering and everything should have been banned for some, at least some time. So yes, yeah, they are the ones who are highly susceptible to any kind of avian influenza. Yeah,
Hmm.
luckily this time we have not reported any human cases of that until now, but maybe it is science. Maybe after this we might get a report of that. So yeah, until now luckily no reported cases of H5N8 at this present scenario has been. Yeah.
So this is from the point of discussion where we were talking culling of infected birds. So the question
Mm.
is like, different. Should healthy birds in infected zones be culled by swap?
I I would say infected birds means what you mean, poultry which live in group and ducks which live in group, or the single pet birds. So I would say no, because I myself own a farm in Kerala. So I would say no. But what they do is, but according to the Avian Influenza Action Plan 2015, they do kill uh, even the healthy birds, even the pet birds, over a radius of 1 kilometer. So whatever birds you whether say it's a macaw, it's a lovebird, a finches, whatever it is, they kill that. And it includes the ducks and poultry and everything. Everything has been culled. But I would say no, but scientifically it's not correct. To I would say no. I see it as an act of cruelty, but then it's the protocols and decontamination and disinfection guidelines that you have to follow. If you ask me personally as a person, I would say no.
Okay, so uh, leaving aside uh, consuming of poultry and meat and eggs, so there are a lot of birders or people who are interested in bird watching.
Hmm.
What are the precautions they should take while, um,
Hmm.
because it's migratory season everywhere in India, and
Yeah.
we have a lot of migratory birds here as well. So,
Hmm.
what are the precautions one should take, and if they see a dead bird,
Hmm.
what should they do? Do you have any suggestions for that?
So one thing I would suggest is, for at least for some time, you should keep yourself back from activities like birding and visiting places like wildlife sanctuaries and things like that. And second thing that you can do is, this if you see a bird, report to the health officials. You can either call and inform the district veterinary hospital there. They will inform higher officials regarding this, and action will be taken care of. Or you can inform the forest officials there, and again then the nearest help you can ask, whoever is involved with the wildlife. So that has to be done. And I would say, for some time. And also what happens, we see a lot of people, what even now the Makar Sankranti festival is going on, right? So in Jaipur and in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, places like that, the bird treatment camp is going on, where every year this happens. When the birds get cut by manja, hundreds and thousands of birds have been rescued and brought back to life. So that such things involves a lot of handling of wild birds. We get a lot of pelicans, we get a lot of flamingos, kite, egrets, herons, owls, whatnot. We get a lot of Indian, like the normal inhabitant birds, and also migratory birds. So this time, people who are handling the such birds, they were all in PP suits. They were using protective gloves, masks, footwears, and everything. And such precautions were taken in that condition, where all the birds had to be saved, whether it's like avian influenza, they were like dying in front of us. So in such situations, they had the complete protocol of wearing a PP suit, and then heading for their rescue mission. So yeah, that's it.
Mhm. So, I there is another question by Ritesh. So he's asking, are there any drugs available for the prevention and treatment of it?
Uh,
So have we?
no. I would
No.
say no, but the veterinarians who are involved in the action plan, like in Kerala, especially in Kerala, I just spoke to a vet who was involved in the program. So they used to take antiviral drugs before the mission. So that is what they can do. Prevention, there is no vaccination because it keeps mutating. As we said before, there was COVID-19, now there is COVID-20, we don't know. So it can be sometimes H1N1, H5N8, H3, H7N3, like that. It can be different strain keep mutating. That is why we are not able to provide a vaccination also. So yeah, there is no medicines as such that can be used. Yeah, that is a problem with the disease.
Yeah, I hope researchers are working towards it. And
Yes, yes.
influenza is the what should I say, is the most difficult disease, as to say, to.
Yes, yes, because it's all because of the mutation. We don't know. If in 2020 H5 N8 came in again in 2000, 23, it will be some other strain. So that is a problem. So that is why there are no vaccination being found against the disease. Mm.
So I'm sure there will be people who will be working towards the the
Yes,
vaccination
yes,
of.
definitely. We hope so.
Hmm. Hmm. Um, so I think we already talked about this, but I would want you to comment on this again. Um, is it possible to affect other animals and other group of animals apart from birds?
See, influenza, yes. Influenza A is basically a disease of the birds. Influenza B can affect the birds and the humans, and if it is influenza C, is the one which affects, we say, the dogs, the humans, and the pig. The swine industry. So, if it influenza A, if you ask me, no. But if it is any other type of influenza, yes.
Okay. Um, so we don't have any other comments or questions from our audience.
Okay, yeah.
Mm, Yeah, I think we already talked about this. What are the protective measures against avian influenza? So you already went through that.
Yeah, yes. Prevent migratory birds. That is not possible. Then, if at all you are affected, yeah, follow the measures it depends on what has to be done, where it is affecting and what is the strain and how virulent it is and things like that. It depends because the action plan that we took on in 2020 is not same as the action plan that we are taking in 2021. It differs. It's like act on the moment, like whatever is needed now we have to do. We can't
Mhm.
follow the old protocols now. That is the problem. It depends on how this. That is the thing with avian influenza. It's trending and changing. It's not old. It keep changing. So yeah.
So since you said that we know that cooking the meat is not infectious, so we have swapnili. Then, so if cooking meat is not infectious, why can't we use healthy culled birds for making consumable products rather than disposing them?
See, that is what. If an area, say my area, like in Kerala, Alappuzha and Kuttanad, was affected with avian influenza. Uh, See, once the area is affected with that, and we are sure that the other birds over a radius of 1 kilometer has the chances of getting infected, we rather cull the birds. Huh? Rather than again, so that those birds are in contact with the affected birds, so there are high chances that these bird also is can get affected, not that they show symptoms or anything like that, they can be affected. So consumption of meat from those areas should be banned, but apart from, it's not that avian influenza is there, we kill birds. Chicken is available everywhere. To be precautious, to take care of not getting the infection from non-affected areas, we are following those protocols in general. But I would say, if in an area, if or in a poultry farm, if 100 birds died of avian influenza, better don't buy their healthy birds and cook it thoroughly and eat. Better don't do that. Yeah.
Better to avoid these things currently. It would
Mm,
be a good thing, yeah.
I wouldn't think. See, if it is affecting in your area, buying meat from that, of course, if it is affected in your area, all the birds would be culled by now. Apart from that, buying it from a good source where it has been, no symptoms or anything has been shown, then it's okay. But what he, if it is, if it's a healthy, so what I was telling is, in a poultry farm or a duck farm which is positive for avian influenza, and if there are healthy birds which is not tested, and there is no, it is not, acceptable or advisable to cull the healthy birds and then cook it and eat them. I would say just cull them off. Again, the problem of transportation and things like that, better cull them off. It is better not to consume them. You can of course consume them, but again, it is kind of spreading the disease. Better sort it out in that small level itself, rather than exporting them and doing such things.
So the currently there are crows which have been affected
Hmm.
largely. So why is it that only one particular species is affected? Is it that there
No,
is only one particular species which is affected, or we are not aware of the
no.
others?
Yes, in Rajasthan, peafowls was dead. In Madhya Pradesh, we have reports of avian influenza in pond heron, egret, parrots, even crows. So it's that the number of cases which has been reported and found to be positive are less. So we don't know if examine a kite or owl, we might end up getting a positive sample. We don't know. Whatever the reports are, and we see a large number of deaths in crows, maybe that is why.
Um, so we were talking about migratory birds being the
Mm,
carriers of this disease.
mm,
So if a large congregation of these migratory birds excrete together,
mm,
so what are the chances of the water being contaminated of
mm.
the food?
It
And
is, of course, yeah, the water will be, of course, be condemned. Then we don't see in Himachal Pradesh what happened. We see a large number of birds dead in that Pong Dam lake. Huh? So of course the water will be contaminated. I don't know, if I'm not very sure if any precautions has been done, to sanitize the water or anything as such. I'm not very sure if such things will be done. And because it's a wildlife sanctuary, there is no entrance of other birds. Then it's just the migratory birds that is going on there. So I don't think such a protocol has been taken into consideration. I'm not very sure. I'm not very aware of about it.
all right. So we still have to keep an eye on all the things that are happening.
Yes, 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 yes. World is, every day is new. Something new is being created
Happening.
in this. Yeah. The virus world is very active these days.
Um, so we'll just wait for a few more comments if we have any.
Yeah.
Um, then we'll just wrap it because it's already been 50 minutes that we have
Mm,
talked about this issue. I'm sure 50 minutes is a very less time to talk on such issues,
mm.
but uh, yeah, we'll just wait
Basically,
for.
I didn't want to, just keep talking like that, talking. I didn't want. So I just made my presentation very short, so that more about discussions, and also if you guys have some idea, you can share so that I can also learn from you. It's like to make it a more interactive, so that rather than Red FM, I don't want. I just we will have a open discussion of things. I thought.
Yeah, it's actually good to have discussions on these topics. It's
Mm.
always good to involve local people in such kinds of discussions
Yes, yes.
because
Even what the idea that you said, disinfection, the chances of the infection affecting the lake, it was something that I never thought about. And also, we can think about working on it, and, studying the chances of spread of disease by that. And, yeah, it's something good that we can understand and learn.
so this was in context to the wetlands or to the lakes that are
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah.
migratory birds go to.
Mm.
Um, So there are a lot of other animals which depend on these water sources.
Yes, yes,
There
yes.
are chances of those animals getting affected as well.
Mm.
Um, yeah. So it will be a very vague question for you, just to how well do we know viruses in general, um,
Hmm.
in terms of disease spreading, or how they are mutating? What are the
Mm.
How far are we going to go behind that, these viruses?
See, a lot of work and research, a lot of money is spent for research and, everything to learn. We don't know in the research and development field, a lot of investment has been made. Even in avian influenza, I'm sure, you know, uh, because it's a disease that is not really, so we see a part of, as veterinarians or animal activities, we see, okay, 2 lakhs birds were culled, or so many migratory birds were dead. That is what we see, but what is actually happening behind is a huge amount of crores and crores of money is being spent. uh, you know uh, it's an expense. A lot of people lose their work. A lot of money that has been invested is done and dusted, and the government has to spend a lot of money in terms of action plan and disinfection when such a epidemic occurs. So of course, I would say a lot of research has been is being done and is being going on regarding the study of viruses and understanding and to develop vaccination, a complete cure, to eradicate the disease. Yes, a lot of work is being done, but as we said, viruses are more competent than us, and they are like, fighting against us, and I think they are winning at this present scenario. But let's see, we can win over them surely. But there are a lot of research that is happening, because we have the National Institute of Virology in Pune, and we have in Bhopal, where they have the biosecurity level 4, because we, such high biosecurity level systems we have in the country to get to identify the disease and things like that. So that is one good thing. Yes, there is, people are trying to learn more about the viruses.
So we have a question by Mr. Praban Menon. Does the current situation stop duck cum fish farming practices? Uh,
Mm, where in Kutanad? So now all such things has been should be stopped, I would say. Better if you can stop, because the virus can spread through all these all these secretions and excretions. So better to get it stopped, because in my place, that is Kerala, that again, my district Alappuzha and Kottayam, so a large number of birds were affected and everything were culled. So of course such farming practices have come to a stop. But I would say, apart from that, if it is in other states where it's not affected, it shouldn't be a problem. You can continue as such, not a problem.
for how long will these practices be stopped? And
That is a good question. I don't know. I would say it takes some. Usually, when it's affected, it at least take 3 to 4 months, to completely settle down and then bring a new stock. It takes a long time, you know.
so, of course, until we get fresh orders from the officials to that
Yes,
it's
yes.
safe to
So,
perform
if I
these.
am not mistaken, once the whole poultry farm is fully disinfected, even see, not only the animals are killed, even the eggs have been destroyed, hatcheries has been disinfected. So everything will be disinfected, fumigated, again disinfected. A proper protocol will be done, and then they will have to close the hatchery for a period of time, and then only they can start. I'm not very sure about how long it has to be closed down and then start again. Yeah.
So I think we will end this discussion here,
Mm.
um, because it's a kind of a discussion which will take hours and hours of
Yeah.
proper, arguments and questioning and answering this topic. So it was a pleasure to have you here. We haven't had this one-on-one interaction sessions with our speakers so far, and this was really the one of the best sessions, because our guests also enjoy asking questions to the speakers, and you
Mm.
very um, like an expert explained those issues and questions. We are very thankful for that. Um, so before we end this broadcast, do you have any important message to convey to the people? Any important yeah, message that you can share with us?
Take care of yourself. Don't stop eating chicken. Yeah, just like that. It's okay. Nothing to be worried about. All will be taken care of. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Thank you
And
so
thank
much,
you so
Doctor.
Yeah, thank you so much, Marin, and thank you, WRCF, for creating such a beautiful platform. And when I spoke with to my junior Surya, she was telling you educate, you do a lot of work there, and I wish, WCRF becomes a worldwide organization, and you get a lot of recognition and appreciation in the coming years. And all the best to you too. And hoping to meet you when I come down to Jammu to meet you in person and see what is happening with you guys. Okay.
Definitely, definitely. We'll be happy to host you here. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
sure, sure, always. Yeah, thank you. Bye, have a
Thank
good day, all of you. Yeah,
you. You too. Bye.
bye.